To talk more about this, we want to bring in Tiffany Raspberry, who is a former deputy mayor of New York City. Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on today. Watching these elections here tonight, these primaries, is anything surprising you so far from what we're seeing?
Good morning, Bowen, and thank you so much for having me. I think the thing that stands out most in my mind watching the results come in is how well the Republicans seem to be doing, both in the mayoral race and in the gubernatorial race.
I thought the same thing because I was looking just moments ago when it comes to the governor's race, when it comes to Steve Hilton. He's leading right now in the polls. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more ballots that come in when we talk about mail-in ballots, and there's only just a little over 50% that's in at the moment. So things could switch really quick. But what does that tell you right now about California? As most people, when they think of California, they think it's a pretty deadlock for a blue vote.
Exactly. I think what I am realizing and what we are realizing in America right now is that the American electorate is very volatile right now. People are unhappy with the current state of affairs, not just in California, but throughout the entire country. And as a result, they're looking for a change. We've seen that in races all across the United States over the past couple of years. And I think that these newcomers, regardless of their party affiliation, have been able to identify with voters, talk about the issues that matter to them most, and get them to identify with them.
And we talk about what issues matter to them the most. When it comes to people in LA and then people in California, what are those issues that are on their minds when they went to cast their vote yesterday? And what's still going to be on their mind when it comes to that November election?
I think quality of life issues fall first and foremost in people's minds. Every day when individuals get up to leave their homes, they experience life firsthand. And it's those interactions that influence their decision making. And so in LA, you've heard a lot of individuals complain about quality of life issues, the homelessness problem that has impacted the city dramatically. The downtown area hasn't quite come back the way that it was prior to COVID. I heard Mayor Bass in her speech last night talk about traffic lights being turned back on. That was another issue that largely impacted voters. And then there are the national issues that individuals are feeling, the cost of living, the cost of gas, the cost of rent. And in Los Angeles in particular, people are still reeling from the Palisades fire, which is really what inspired Spencer Pratt to run.
And then when we know the Palisades fire, we know that incumbent Mayor Karen Bass, she has had a lot of backlash for the handling of that. But here we have an ex post from Karen Bass here. It says, "I have devoted my entire life to serving the city that I love, where I was born, and I'm going to continue to do that all the way to a victory in November." We know she is selected for the runoff. She's got that check mark by her. So can you speak to her campaign here and how she managed to keep her popularity there with voters despite some of the controversies that have been pulled up here in her last term here?
Mayor Bass has been serving the people of Los Angeles for quite some time now. And so she has a lifetime of experiences with other city and statewide leadership, with the labor unions, with regular people who've been voting for her and have a history of voting for her. So I'm not surprised that she made the runoff. I think it is concerning that she did not reach the 50% threshold, but there were so many individuals in the race that the vote was split so many ways.
And when we look at this mayoral race here, really, Karen Bass, she's got, at this point in time, I'm looking at the Fox 11 in LA, they're polling here. They have Karen Bass sitting at 36% and Spencer Pratt here at 30%, Nithya Raman at 22%. So it's still really a toss-up. Who can we expect really in that runoff there? But let's say we have Spencer Pratt, because he's the one who's trailing in second right now. What have we seen work in his campaign so far to really gather this attention and get to where he is right now?
I think that a lot of people kind of gloss over the strategy that he has used to get him to this point. So we've heard a lot of consultants say, well, he's utilizing social media and that appeals to younger voters. But I think that that's understating the influence and the impact that utilizing the social media tools that we have available to us accurately can impact an election. I think that I read an article a few days ago that Harvey Levin has been very active in his campaign. And so I think that he has utilized social media tools to reach voters in a way that the other candidates haven't been successful doing. We all know that social media is just not a tool used by young Americans. It's a tool used by everyone. And when you're able to create viral moments on those platforms, they live on long beyond the time in which you made the point that you're trying to raise.
And so let's say Pratt, he gets that check mark. He's in the runoff with Karen Bass. What are going to be some of the challenges for him once he competes there? Because this is what instantly I think would be that the votes that we're seeing right now for Rahman would go to Bass potentially. So what would have to be done? What strategy would Spencer Pratt here have to kind of go forward with, as we've seen Mayor Bass kind of hit him or had critiques saying that he doesn't have experience running a city of that size? So what would be next for Spencer Pratt if he were to get that check mark and compete with incumbent Mayor Bass?
Well, I ultimately believe that if Spencer Pratt becomes the second runner-up in this race, that Mayor Bass will ultimately win the election in November. But I think for Spencer Pratt, he's going to have to figure out how to expand his outreach beyond his base. I think I read a statistic that the approximately 300 to 400,000 Republicans who are registered in LA County out of 2 million voters, that's obviously not enough for him to win statewide. And so he's going to have to figure out how to draw voters from the Democratic establishment, including the DSA-backed candidate and Mayor Bass.
And just seeing Spencer Pratt here really shake things up here. Is this a testament what people are feeling over in Los Angeles?
I think it's a testament to what people are feeling in Los Angeles and all throughout the country. Politics as usual is not working for the average American. They feel largely disappointed and discouraged by the way in which the country is operating right now. And they're demonstrating those feelings in the voting booths.
And I don't want to count here the other candidates out right now. I know I've been focusing a lot on Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt here, but with Nithya Rahman as well, she's still at 22%. What has really been appealing to her, or for appealing voters to her? What has been working for her?
I think there's largely been a great movement, a very influential movement by the Democratic Socialists of America. She's DSA backed in this race. And so I think that that has been her greatest appeal to the voters. I don't think we can count her out at this point. There are only 50% of the voting precincts reporting at this point. We know that a great deal of individuals in California vote on paper ballots. Voters have until Election Day to have those ballots postmarked. And every voter, I believe, in California receives a absentee ballot. And so we won't know for quite some time how many ballots we can expect back in this election, and that will influence the outcome.
And then with this runoff, we could expect here. What could we get? How many debates could we get for a mayoral debate there in Los Angeles? And how do you think that would be different from the ones that we have seen before?
Well, I really think that with either candidate running against Mayor Bass, they're really going to challenge her being an incumbent, being a long-time establishment Democratic leader and candidate. So it's going to be an old versus new ideology. Newcomers trying to break in, believing that the way in which they view the world and want to lead the city is the right way versus the way in which the Democratic establishment leaders have led over the past several decades.
And while we wait for these checks to come in and make sure that we know who is going to be facing who when it comes to that election over in November, when can we know for sure here? How long could this take for California to count up their votes?
Well, I think at this point, it seems like it's going to take at least a couple of days. I don't believe that we'll be able to know who the winners are of any of these races today or tomorrow. I think that we have to wait until the absentee ballots are received and counted, and perhaps we'll have a better sense of who the nominees are by Friday or over the weekend.
Tiffany Raspberry, we covered a lot of ground here. Are there anything that you're going to be looking out for here in the next few days while we await these results?
Just I'm looking to see what issues continue to rise to the forefront. I think that from now until November, in a lot of ways, in political time, is a lifetime. There are any number of things that can happen between now, June, and November that can influence the outcomes of these elections. And so I'm going to be watching closely to see what issues arise and how voters are responding to that.
Definitely, and we'll be watching too. Tiffany Raspberry, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it here.
You have a great day.
Thanks. You as well. Take care.